morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. We saw the conference finals start last night. The Western Conference, specifically, we saw the Thunder and Timberwolves go at it in Game 1. And honestly, what was a great game. The first half was, we saw the second half being a much different story than the first. The first, Timberwolves trying to keep it close, take an early lead into halftime, a 5-point lead exactly to go into halftime. And then we saw the Thunder simply just take over the game. It really just was. Takeover is just the best word to describe it. Forcing turnovers, making shots, getting to the free throw line. It was just a phenomenal all-around game from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Alex Caruso came up big in this one. Jalen Williams continued to prove why he's a legitimate number 2 option for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. Just a phenomenal all-around win for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we'll dive into that topic to start off the show. From there, we'll switch gears over to the Timberwolves side of things, actually. We saw Anthony Edwards kind of struggle, especially in the fourth quarter of this one. We saw he didn't really have the best offensive game that we've seen him in these playoffs. And whether that has to do with rust from the last series against the Golden State Warriors, he wasn't asked to do as much, or whatever the case may be. The Timberwolves, we'll dive into the Timberwolves side of things as well in the second segment. From there, we'll also discuss the Indiana Pacers New York Knicks series that's set to kick off later tonight. That is a phenomenal series. Jalen Brunson versus Tyrese Halliburton. Just honestly going to be a phenomenal, probably 7-game series as well in that one. And we'll dive into the question, is Jalen Brunson really a top player is Jalen Brunson the best player left in the NBA playoffs? I heard this debate last night, and I thought it would just be interesting to bring to the show and give my thoughts about it. And yeah, to close out the show, we'll discuss Giannis Antetokounmpo because we keep hearing his name being linked to the Golden State Warriors, being invited to Steph Curry's. I think it was like Steph Curry's. It was some private Warriors party. Everybody from the Warriors franchise was there, including Giannis. And then we keep seeing his name popping up around San Francisco. So I'll give my thoughts about that and the potential of what would happen if a Giannis Antetokounmpo and Steph Curry decided to team up in today's NBA. But before we move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right back into it here because this could be this could be a packed show. The way I'm thinking about it right now, I'm thinking it's gonna look like a quieter show, but who knows? We could dive in, get some comments in here. We'll see how it goes. But let's dive in. Let's get the show on the road. The Thunder take over the second half of Game 1, and honestly, what was a phenomenal Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. The first half, it was kind of both teams going back and forth. Julius Randle spearheading the Timberwolves offense, going off for 28 points. On the other side, it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going for 31 points. Both teams just really going back and forth in the first half. And the Timberwolves actually found themselves ahead in this one early on with a 5-point lead going into halftime. However, I mean it when I say it was a Thunder avalanche in the second half. It really, an avalanche is the best way to describe it. 114-88 being the final score. 38-18 outscoring the Timberwolves in the third quarter. 38-22 in the fourth. It was just the Thunder taking over in the second half. It really was. I'm trying to make sure I remember the stat exactly. The steals disparity in this one. You guys remember when I said they had 16 steals against the Nuggets in Game 7? Well, the league might be cooked because if the Thunder keep playing like this, they're not losing. if the Thunder have figured out how to play defense again at a high level, the way that they have in games in back to back games now with multi-digit steals, this league might be. I mean it when I say this league might be cooked because I don't think anybody's beating this Thunder team. The way they play fast-paced offense, the way they're able to get back in transition, that's what the Timberwolves kept doing. They kept trying to push the pace just like the Thunder. And the players on the Thunder, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, even Shea, were getting back and just picking them off like uh like their NFL cornerbacks. Just get stepping in front of passes and intercepting passes. Um I mean it when I say this Thunder team looked phenomenal last night shooting the ball. I mean, not shooting on the defensive side of the ball. Shooting the ball, they didn't even shoot. They only shot 21 3-pointers in this game. And they're a walking example of why the Celtics Celtics analytical strategy of just shooting the three over and over again doesn't work. And you can win games without just shooting the three. The Thunder shooting 11 of 21 from three last night. 41 of 82 from the field. Like they took quadruple the shot. Only like a fourth of their shots was threes. Not even a fourth. It was less than a fourth. So, yeah, honestly, it was a phenomenal game plan from the Thunder. They're going to continue to play at a high level like this. The Timberwolves on the other side, actually, I'll leave that to the next segment because I said, yeah, we're gonna split this series off into two segments. We're gonna discuss the winning side and then we'll discuss the losing side and what caused them. So we're gonna keep this segment solely drifted we're gonna just talk about the Thunder. I keep trying to use big words and I'm just like it's not working. But Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 31 points, 9 assists in this one. Just an all around great game. And this is what you're supposed to do if you're the leader of the team. Taking 27 shots is more of what you're looking for. You didn't have the most efficient 31 points, only shooting 10 of 27 from the field. But being able to get to the free throw line the way that Shea did, regardless of what people might say, there are people that are saying out there that Shea gets calls that he shouldn't get. And I think I used to get mad at it the days that we saw James Harden getting flop calls. Who else have we seen do it? I remember James Harden did it. Yeah, I can't remember. I think yeah, I remember James Harden did it. I think there's somebody else, but I can't pick up on his name. James Harden did it, and now Shea is just kind of following in his footsteps. So if James Harden was getting those calls that he used to get, I'm not shocked that Shea is now. And people can whine and groan and moan all they want about it, but it is what it is. He gets those calls, and you kind of just gotta live and die by it. It is what it is. But um, yeah, 21 of 26 from the free throw line, 11 of 14 for Shea himself, um, and 3 steals as well for Shea. So all around great performance from him. We know how he can be as a two-way player. He's one of the great two-way players in the league today. And it's the big reason why he's an MVP candidate. But, and I say but, if the Thunder want to win this series, I think if not, he needs to play. I don't think the Timberwolves are going to play as badly as they did last night. I don't think we're going to see another repeat of that. And there's a specific stat that I'm going to mention in the next segment. So stick around for that. I'm literally keeping everything about the Timberwolves for the next segment. But the Thunder specifically, if they're able to play the defense that they had played last night, Alex Caruso leading the way, my goodness, Alex Caruso was everywhere last night. He was hitting, especially in the second half, hitting shots just everywhere. 9 points for Caruso, 3 for 3 on threes. Just a phenomenal game from the young man. And we know he's one of those great young players in the league. But he's really proven his worth with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We saw him kind of doing the same thing with the Lakers. We said the Lakers made a mistake when they decided to trade him just because Caruso is a great two-way player, and you don't see players of his caliber these days. On the Bulls, we saw him struggle a little bit, but since he has made his way to the Oklahoma City Thunder, he has regained that title of one of the great two-way players in the league. If I had to compare Alex Caruso to anybody in the league that I could think of, even from back in the day, um, the only guy I could really think of is probably a Marcus Smart. And if you guys can remember Marcus Smart back in the day when he was a defensive player of the year, wing defender, or even a Drew Holiday when he won defensive player of the year. These guys are both offensively gifted and defensively gifted. They use their defense, but what makes them great, to great, is you see players like Dyson Daniel, Amen Thompson being at the good level. Then you see Drew Holiday and trying to think of another, even maybe Giannis, but Giannis is his own player. But I'm saying when you have when your offense can match up with your defense, or sometimes you can get hot as a shooter, and you're a great defender, I think your worth goes from good to great, and you can become an exceptional talent, a very unique talent. I think that's Alex Caruso, and that's the home. He's found a great home in Oklahoma City now, and he's going to continue to thrive there. I think, and I think this Thunder team really could make it to a championship if they continue to play the way they did last night. I really think so. I said the Timberwolves are going to win it all. I said the Timberwolves are going to probably win this series. And I still think it's going to be a long series, but the Thunder really shocked me last night, man. They shocked me in Game 7, and they shocked me again last night. If they continue to play the way they have been, I don't know if anybody can beat this Thunder team. Maybe a healthy Celtics, but even then, nobody's able to play offense and defense the way this team is. Nobody. Maybe teams are able to play offense, but nobody's able to match up the intensity that they have defensively. And I think that's what changes the game on this entire situation. But I'm gonna leave it on that note. I'm gonna take a short break. Coming up next, we're gonna switch gears over to the Timberwolves side of things. What went wrong for the Timberwolves in Game 1? We'll discuss Anthony Edwards because he struggled. He had probably one of the worst fourth quarters I've seen him play, especially in the fourth quarter, especially in a playoff game, especially in a conference finals. This is a big series for Anthony Edwards here, and he did not start on a great note. But yeah, you're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we touched on the Thunder side of things of Game 1 in the first segment. Now we're going to switch gears over to the Timberwolves. And honestly, there's more than you think that went into the Timberwolves side of things. And honestly, I feel like I'm about to start talking about the Timberwolves like I talked about the Celtics. And you guys are going to see, I think you guys know exactly what I'm saying if you guys have seen the stat I'm looking at right now. But we're going to discuss what went wrong for the Timberwolves in game 1, how they can bounce back in game 2, as well as Anthony Edwards' struggles, because he absolutely struggled in this one, especially in the fourth quarter of this game. Probably one of the worst quarters of basketball we've seen Anthony Edwards play, especially in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. Nonetheless, a Western Conference Finals game. So there's a lot to unpack in this one. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets run on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. And I've said it before, you guys are a big part of what we do here at the GSMC Sports Network, so don't be shy to leave a question, a comment. Make the show a little bit more fun. I can answer those questions and give my take on some of your thoughts, and you guys can let me know what you think. We can have a little bit of a back and forth in the chat box, but I appreciate I appreciate everything as always. But we got to get back to this because this is probably going to be this is going to be a packed segment. So the Minnesota Timberwolves. I've never seen a stat like this. Did you guys ever think that the Minnesota Timberwolves would decide to revert to Boston Celtics type basketball? The Minnesota Timberwolves. I know they have a bunch of shooters. They have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley. There's Julius Randle. They have a bunch of guys on their roster that can shoot the ball. Absolutely. No questions asked. But 15 of 51 from 3? Really? 15 of 51? 29% from 3? Therein lies the problem in what went wrong for this team. They only took, 32 regular shots? They only took 32 shots from inside the arc. They shot more three-pointers than normal field goals. Yeah, that's I think that speaks for itself right there. I think the Celtics hold the record for most missed three-pointers in a game, but I think the Timberwolves were out to try and break that record. Because, my goodness, 51 three-pointers in a game. Yeah, therein lies the problem for the Timberwolves, I'd say. Outside of that, I'd say before we get to the main course with Anthony Edwards, we got to start with some appetizers, you know? Another player that I really want to point out that did not play well in this game whatsoever, Naz Reid needs to play better. 4 points in 28 minutes. He had 0 points until he got those 4 points in the fourth quarter. He had 0 points through 22 minutes. So this is a Naz Reid that we know can play at a high level. We've seen him play at a high level. We've seen him be an X factor in the playoffs. But Naz Reid, you need to play at a higher level. If the Timberwolves are going to win this series, Naz Reid needs to play at a higher level. Outside of Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards, the leading scorer off this team was Dante DiVincenzo with 9 points. And I know we saw 9 points from DiVincenzo, 8 from Alexander Walker, 7 from McDaniels, 7 from Conley. And that's good. The ball's going around. The shot, everybody's getting a piece of the pie to shoot it. We get that. 100%. No questions asked. But at the same breath, somebody needs to step up for this team as a third option. We've seen Jaden McDaniels take that mantle. We've seen Naz Reid at times take that mantle. Mike Conley has. But somebody must take that position as the third best player on this team. They must, because you can't have two guys go off for 28 and 18 points, and then the next best score is like 7 or 9. I said 9 with DiVincenzo. You're just not going to win games, especially against a deep team like the Oklahoma City Thunder. The way the Thunder play is different than almost anybody else in the league. because of how deep they are. So you have to be able to combat that. You have to be able to match up with that in some sort of way. And the way that the Timberwolves did it last night is not going to get it done in this series. On the Thunder side of things, I don't think I mentioned this in the first segment. They had 4 guys go into double figures shooting the basket in terms of scoring. They had Alex Caruso right on the precipice with 9. They had Kenrich Williams. I'm not sure who Kenrich Williams is. It's probably one of those guys that came off the bench down the stretch of that game. But Kenrich Williams finishing with 8 points. Like, they had multiple guys that they had 4 guys in double figures, and then they had a bunch of guys knocking on the door, which I think is fine. That's what you need in terms of a deep team to get it done. And that's what the Thunder are doing right now. But for the Timberwolves, you need some more offensive production from your guys. And I think that was a big reason why they struggled in the second half the way they did. But I got past all of that part. I got past everything. Now let's dive into the main course, because I never thought I'd see a type of game like this from Anthony Edwards. You did finish with 18 points. You had 18 points through 3 quarters. Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter had 0. Like 0. Like 0. 0. Like, you were down by 7 points going into the fourth quarter, and you finished with 0 points in that fourth quarter. Also, what? Good. Sorry about that. My stream just froze. But 0 points from Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter. You're down by 7 points going into the fourth, and you finished with 0 points. 0. You're plus minus. You're minus 11 on the court as the best player on the floor. You're supposed to match up with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's giving the Timberwolves the business. You have Julius Randle, playoff Randle, that's continuing to stand out for this team, going off for 28 points. But Anthony Edwards, do not be shocked if we see an Anthony Edwards 40-point game in game 2, because that was borderline egregious from Anthony Edwards. And we know he can play at a better level. We know he can play much better. We've seen him go off for 40 points in games. But that level of inconsistency, if the Timberwolves want to have a chance to win this series, Anthony Edwards cannot play inconsistent like that. Plain and simple. He can't. If he continues to play at that type of level when he's inconsistent, just getting hot and cold very easily. Minus 11 in the fourth quarter. I can't believe. I actually sometimes you have bad games, and we'll see that if that's true. If he has a bounce back game in game 2. But 0 points in the fourth quarter is still so baffling to me. I can't believe it. I really can't. Yeah, so Anthony Edwards must play at a higher level. The guys around the Minnesota Timberwolves team need to play better in terms of, I told you, one of the role players needs to step up as a third option. We've seen Jaden McDaniels fill that hole, and he has stepped up into that position multiple times in these playoffs. We've seen him have multiple 30-point games throughout this year's playoffs. But you need to step up. They need to step up. When Anthony Edwards struggles like that, you're not going to win games. You're not, especially against a Thunder team like this. You need another guy to step up and take Anthony Edwards' role. Anthony Edwards looked like a third option last night, and I don't think that's crazy to say, especially in the fourth quarter. Anthony Edwards looked like a third option on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Julius Randle, you could call him the number 1, but if somebody else had stepped up I think if somebody else had shot in the ball a little bit better, I think we could have seen a legitimate argument that Anthony Edwards was a number 3 option for this team. But the box score, that's probably why they shot so many threes, to try and shorten that distance a little bit. That is not a strategy, and that is not something I think you should do ever. But, I guess that's why they did it. Anthony Edwards had 4 turnovers in this one. 18 points, 5 of 13 shooting, 3 of 8 from 3. Like, when you see Shea putting up 27 shots and you put up 13, what goes through your head? What goes through your head when Shea puts up 27 shots as the number one scorer for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you put up 13? 13, what goes through your head? Because it's just you can't win games like this. I'm not sure if the Timberwolves think they can. I'm not sure if that's their strategy right now. We saw Julius Randle go 5 of 6 from 3, 9 of 13 from the floor, and he had a phenomenal game. He had a phenomenal game all around. But Anthony Edwards, my goodness, we know he's we know how good of a player Anthony Edwards is and how he can be one of the best players in the NBA. But last night was not his best performance, and he's going to need to bounce back. You have Dante DiVincenzo putting up 14 shots. You have Nickeil Alexander-Walker putting up 11 shots. You have Jaden McDaniels putting up, he only put up 5 shots, but still. You expect the guys around you to shoot back. Naz Reid with 11 shots. Like, what goes, like, I understand you're trying to play unselfish. I get it. But this is the playoffs. This is when stars come out. This is when you need to take the bull by the horns and say, I'm going to go figure out my own problem. Shooters continue to shoot. I'm the number one option on this team. I'm going to shoot the ball. And I'm not saying shoot it 50 times, but don't let Shea on one side go off for 31 points, shooting the ball 27 times, and then you shoot it 13, and the rest of your team, you probably have the highest percentage out of anybody on the team outside of a Julius Randle. Like, Naz Reid 1 for 11. I'll go down the list. Jaden McDaniels 3 for 5. He didn't shoot as much. Nickeil Alexander-Walker 3 for 11. Dante DiVincenzo 3 for 14. Like, do you understand what I'm talking about? Like, this is, Anthony Edwards is going to step up in game 2. Every sign is pointing that he's going to have a bounce back game in game 2. And I believe in Anthony Edwards. I believe in his talent, and I believe that he can have a bounce back game. And I believe that he will have a bounce back game. But game 1, if they lose it, unless he has a monstrous game, unless he has that 40-point game that we know is in Anthony Edwards and he can take it out, he can bring it out whenever he wants. Unless he does that, I'm not sure. I just don't know if the Timberwolves can beat this team. Not the way they shot last night. No way. If they continue to play the way they did last night, this is going to be a 4-0 sweep, and every game is going to be a 20-point loss. It's going to be. The only reason it was close was because of Julius Randle in the first half went 5 of 6 from 3 and didn't shoot the ball after that. I'm pretty sure he went. I read it last night. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly his shooting percentage, but I remember he was 5 of 6 from 3 by halftime, and he kept shooting at that level. So that means he didn't shoot another 3 after that. Why? I have no idea. No idea at all. Makes 0 sense. But it is what it is. I don't get it. This style of do or die basketball, do or die from 3, just I don't get it. I think the stars need to show up in playoff games, and it comes down to Anthony Edwards versus Shea. After that, of course, the role players matter, but the main objective in this series, the main part of these series, are the stars. If the stars don't show up, your team is more than likely not going to win a playoff game. It's just not going to happen. So, I don't know. I'm going to leave it on that note, and we'll revisit this topic when we're previewing game 2. I believe game 2 should be tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? I'll tell you guys in 1 second. But yeah, coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to the Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks series. Obviously, the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be a phenomenal series. And we get to continue to watch unbelievable basketball. Also, game 2 of this series is tomorrow, so I'll be back here tomorrow to preview that series. But yeah, first we got to preview the Eastern Conference Finals. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to switch gears over to the Eastern Conference Finals. Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Haliburton, two stars, two young budding stars, especially Tyrese Haliburton, who's really been bursting on the scene here over the last couple of years, bringing the Indiana Pacers to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And funny enough, it was against the same team that he forced a Game 7 against the New York Knicks and won a Game 7 in New York to clinch a playoff berth in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. This is going to be an unbelievable series. Like, if you guys want to watch high-level, intense basketball, get your popcorn ready, because this is that series. The Thunder Timberwolves, we're still trying to figure out what it's going to be. It's kind of finesse, bully ball style basketball versus fast-paced basketball. This is just two teams that are just going to go at it until somebody wins. They're just going to continue to fight, and it's going to go to a decision, and we're going to see how the judges score the fight. That is how every game of this series is going to be. I seriously think every single game in this series is going to be close. Every single one. This is New York Knicks, the same New York Knicks that just took out the Boston Celtics in 6 games. This is the same Indiana Pacers team who walked through Milwaukee, walked through Cleveland, both those series finishing in 5 games, and now looking to walk through the New York Knicks, an Indiana Pacers team that's just full of talent. I'm trying to think of how I want to start this, because in the next segment, we'll start this with the Pacers side of things, and we'll see how long we can keep it going with the Pacers side of things. Tyrese Haliburton, I said, is the best player, one of the best players in the league, one of the best young budding stars. I believe he's 24 years of age, just continuing to grow as a player right now as we speak. He's growing into the prime of his career right now. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. And I've had people in person, I've said this in person, and people just look at me like I have 5 heads. And I get it. But Tyrese Haliburton really is just like Magic Johnson from back in the day. Take out the defense and just think about the passing. Think about the scoring. Think about how he makes the team around him better. And now think about Tyrese Haliburton. Don't think about him in the regular season, but think about him in these, especially in this year's playoffs. The way he's able to carry the offense, especially down the stretch of games. The way he's able to make the guys around him better. He's so unselfish. He averages a double-double with assists. He's incredibly unselfish with the ball. The offense really just runs through him. He is the number one guy on this Indiana Pacers team, and he's been that all series long. I think if I'm the New York Knicks, I don't know who I would. I just don't know. I don't know how they're going to game plan for a player like Halliburton. They could throw Josh Hart on him, but at the same time, the problem with the Indiana Pacers when you're trying to scheme up against them, I think they have a better offense. There is a legitimate argument you can make that their offense is more potent, more more deadly when they get hot. They're deadlier than the Oklahoma City Thunder. And when I say deadly, I mean they can rip off 20-0 runs in 4 minutes, 5 minutes. They can erase leads like this. Sorry, my forearm is so. Oof. Sorry. That was weird. But yeah, this is an Indiana Pacers team that's playing at a high level right now. An incredible basketball team that's playing. When I say, like, if you guys can think back to the comebacks that they've had, Game 2 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, down by 7, I believe, with 52 seconds left. In the Bucks series, down by what was it, 5 or 6 with 30 seconds to play. When you're able to erase leads like that, just based off heart and grit alone, missing free throws, getting rebounds, missing threes, getting the rebound, and kicking it back out for another wide open three to knock it down. Pacers have had some luck, but they've executed to perfection, and I think a lot of this has to go to Rick Carlisle. We have to give a lot of credit to Rick Carlisle and how he's turned this team around. We saw in the first half of the year, before the All-Star break, the Pacers were kind of struggling a little bit. They were finding themselves around the 6-7 position, just above 500, just trying to figure it out. We're continuing to go through some growing pains, some injuries. And Tyrese Halliburton was kind of part of the problem, you could say, because his offense was lackluster, mediocre at best. Mediocre at best, I think, is the best way to describe it. Having single-digit points, double-digit assists is good. He's playing like a good facilitator, a good facilitating true point guard. But if the Pacers want to be as good as they are, the reason why the Pacers are as good as they are now is because Halliburton flipped that switch. And since he has flipped that switch, this Pacers team has just been a different team. They were the hottest team for March before the playoffs, from March all the way to the mid-April. I apologize, my nose is running. But I just lost my track of thought. Yeah, they were the hottest team between March to mid-April. They've been the hottest team throughout this year's playoffs. And now they go up against a New York Knicks team that's incredibly talented, led by Jalen Brunson. They have Karl-Anthony Towns. They have Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby. They have a slew of guys. They have an incredible group of talent. Top 5. Their starting lineup has incredible talent. But at the same time, I just don't. I'm trying to think of a way that I can say that the Knicks can win this series, but I just can't. I can't see it. We saw them get lucky. In a way, they got lucky against the Celtics. There's a legitimate argument to make that the Celtics are still a better team than the New York Knicks, even after that series. Even after that series. You could say that injuries played a part. Jason Tatum's Achilles, even though I don't know how much of that is, I would say, because even when Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, the Celtics were going to lose Game 4. So I don't even know how much we can even use of that argument. You could say Jaylen Brown partially tore his ACL. Cool. But I think the biggest reason why the Celtics lost that series was because of a guy named Kristaps Porzingis. I think if they had Kristaps Porzingis, they could have used the interior. They could have used the paint much more. They could have utilized the paint more often than they did. They could have settled for less 3-pointers. They could have pushed the pace into the paint. Get Porzingis going downhill. They could have used Porzingis as an anchor in the paint. Porzingis' health scare was a big reason why the Celtics lost that series. But nonetheless, we have to give the Knicks credit where credit is due. They won that series fair and square. They did it in 6 games, and they dominated the Celtics in Game 6. But when we're talking about this Knicks team, we're talking about them coming back from leads, coming back from 20-point deficits. We're talking about a team full of talent. I said it. I mentioned all the talent. The whole starting lineup is one of the best starting lineups in the league right now. They play with heart. They play with grit. They're exceptionally well coached by Tom Thibodeau. And now they're going up against a team in the Indiana Pacers that's going to give them a run for their money. I apologize. I haven't talked about the Knicks as much. I think the X factor in this game for the Knicks is going to have to be Karl-Anthony Towns. Again, how is he going to be able to handle the double big of the Indiana Pacers, the Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner duo? We saw that they're both seasoned and ready for Cat, especially after going through Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, easily probably one of the best double bigs in the league. So I think Karl-Anthony Towns has his work cut out for him. But if he can find a way to dismantle that double big situation, if he can find a way, I don't think he's gonna figure out his post game with his back against the basket. But I think his shooting is going to be incredibly valuable in this series. I think OG Anunoby, I think Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges needs to step up and continue to play at a high level the way he did against the Celtics. He was a big reason why they won that series against the Celtics. His shooting was incredibly valuable in that series. So he needs to continue to play at that level if the Knicks want to have a chance in this game tonight. But of course, it comes down to Jalen Brunson. And I haven't talked about Jalen Brunson for a reason. My next segment, we're going to dive into Jalen Brunson a little bit more. And I'll have a little bit more of a preview on that, and we'll see where I'm going with that. But my prediction, I think we give Game 1. Game 1 is in New York, so that's why I think it's in New York. Regardless, wherever Game 1 is, it is in New York. Okay. I don't know who to pick. It really is a 50-50 coin toss. If you guys have any thoughts in the comments, please let me know what you guys think, and I'm all ears for you guys' thoughts. But I'm so torn between these two teams because I'm so serious when I say every one of these games is going to be close. I don't think anybody's going to win by more than 10 points in a game. I don't think so. We at least no more than 15. We may see like a 10 or a 12 point win, but I don't think we're going to see more than 15 points in a win for either of these teams. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I'm going to leave it off on that note because we got to keep going with the show. And I keep going on for these long tangents, little bit short pauses, and trying to gather my thoughts. It's not working. All it's doing is dragging on the show. I apologize for anybody watching this and having to deal with that. But I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Jalen Brunson. Is Jalen Brunson really the best player left in this year's playoffs? We saw, I'll say it. Why not? We saw Stephen A. Smith and First Take bring up this question, and I really kind of liked it. I don't agree with what he said at all, but we're going to dive into it, and I'll give my thoughts on why he said that, and then I'll give my own thoughts on who I think really is the best player left in this year's playoffs. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to dive into Jalen Brunson. I don't understand. I'm not going to bring up Stephen A again, but is Jalen Brunson really the best player left in this year's playoffs? No. No. He is one of the best. Don't get me wrong. He's a phenomenal player. He's the clutch player of the year. He's the leading talent on the New York Knicks. He's pretty much carried that offense through the playoffs so far, and he's a big reason why they are where they are. If it wasn't for him, they wouldn't be where they are right now. He is the difference maker for this Knicks team that takes them from good to exceptional the way they are right now. So major props to him, and he deserves all the credit in the world. But no, he's not the best player left in the playoffs. He may be the player that's asked to do the most, but that doesn't make you the best player in the league. That makes you the most valuable player on the team, but that doesn't make you the best player. The best player in the league right now, and I'm kind of torn on this, because I think all three guys on the other teams, I think we can. I don't want to dismiss Anthony Edwards, and if we had this conversation yesterday, I probably would have picked Anthony Edwards before I saw game one. But game one, Anthony Edwards really turned me off in game one because I know how good Anthony Edwards is. I've been a fan of Anthony Edwards for a while now. And I say but, that performance last night was inexcusable. So I can't say he's the best player left in the playoffs. I don't think Shea is. I think as much as I said we shouldn't talk about it as much, I think Shea's free throws disparity, the way he's able to get to the free throw line as much, kind of turns me off a little bit from him being the best player left in the playoffs. I know he's exceptional talent, and I'm willing to look past it. Am I willing to say Tyrese Halliburton? I don't know if I think I just have to roll with Shea. I think Shea is the best player left in the playoffs. I would say Anthony Edwards normally, and this is like nitpicking. This is nitpicking. And who knows, maybe he has if he has a great game in game 2, I'll close my mouth. Do you want me to say that? Actually, for everybody watching, this is for receipts. You have my receipts of saying this. I think Anthony Edwards is the best player left in the playoffs. I just think he had a very, very bad game in game 1, and I expect him to bounce back. If he does, he can regain that title of the best player left in the playoffs. But if he doesn't, he solidifies that title of why he's not the best player left in the playoffs. That inconsistency does not work. It doesn't. And I know it would be inconsistent regardless. A poor game 1, a great game 2. But I think bounce back games speak volumes on your talent. If you have a bad game, and you're able to come back out and go off for 30, 40 points, you deserve to get that bad game wiped clean. Why? Because you made up for it. You did. It's kind of like making a mistake at work. You make a mistake at work, you go to your boss, you apologize for it. The boss says, it's okay, but I want to see more action out of you, and he starts giving you tough love. And you turn around and you work your tail off to make up for it. And then your boss comes around and says, you know what? You're all good, man. Don't worry about it. You're on good terms. You made up for it. You're doing well right now. That's how Anthony Edwards can regain that title of being the best player left in the playoffs. But I think right now we have to give it to Shea. As much as I want to say Tyrese Halliburton because I love Tyrese, I think we have to give it to Shea. I really do. Shea is leading the team. He's the number one option. He's pretty much carrying that Oklahoma City offense on his back right now. He really is. And shooting the ball at the volume he is, being able to get to the free throw line, shooting the 3. He hasn't shot the 3 particularly well in the playoffs yet, but that's probably the area of his game that needs the most work. If he wants to work on anything in his game, it's probably that. And Shea knows that. Shea, when you listen to Shea talk, you know Shea is one of those guys that he's like, not only just a leader of the locker room, but one of those disciplined guys that's always working to improve his game in the offseason. If I had to compare Shea to anybody of the past, like, think about how Kobe Bryant was. If there's anybody that reminds me of Kobe Bryant of back in the day, the way they handled themselves, the swag, the attitude, I wouldn't say the ego, but definitely the swag, the way the confidence that Shea contains, that he plays with. I think it's very much Kobe Bryant-esque. It really is. So I wouldn't say he is Kobe Bryant because I don't think he's that type of defender yet. I don't think he's that good of a two-way player yet. If he can start shooting the three and improve his shot from three, I think he could become that. But for now, he's probably the best player in the league, in the playoffs, left to go. Out of the four teams that are left, I think he's the best player out of those four teams. And I think he deserves that. Jalen Brunson is a close second, but I don't think Jalen Brunson is great, but I don't think he's going to be able to. He doesn't carry the offense the way that Shea does. I think Shea does more for his team than Jalen Brunson does at times. Not all the time, but at times. That's just my take on it, and that could be a crazy take. You guys can let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I'm rolling with Shea on this one. Jalen Brunson is great, but I got to give it to Shea. And then, like I said, Anthony Edwards. If he has a bounce back game in game 2, I'll give him the title back. I wanted to give it to Anthony. If I'm so serious when I say, if this question was asked to me yesterday, I'm picking Anthony Edwards every single time. Every single time. Anthony Edwards is a killer player. He really is. He's one of the best. He has the title of legend killer for a reason, the way he's performed the last 2 years in the playoffs. Even 3 years ago, he was a great player, but he wasn't this. 2 years ago, or last year, he made a jump, and this year he's continuing to make a jump in the playoffs into that superstar standpoint. But I'm going to leave it on that note. I'm going to take one last short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears from the playoffs into the offseason because not only is there not enough to talk about the playoffs, and I wish there was, this is why I don't like the conference finals as much as I like the first and second round, because there's always something to talk about. There really always is something to talk about, and it was just always pack show. Now it's just like, what am I going to talk about today? And I have to think about questions, and I think the question, regardless, I'm going into the production side of things. This is what happens when I talk to myself for too long. But I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo and his name being linked to the Golden State Warriors over the last 2 weeks or so. And we'll discuss how Giannis would fit into that system. So, yeah. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into the last segment of our show here, we're going to switch gears from the NBA playoffs over to the offseason. Giannis Antetokounmpo's name has been brought up for a while now, especially the last few days. And honestly, it's been warranted because it seems like he's really pushing for a trade to the Warriors. And I'm not saying that he hasn't come out with it publicly, but he continues to come up over and over again with the Golden State Warriors. 2 weekends ago, I don't think it was this past weekend. I think it was 2 weekends ago. His name came out that he attended a Warriors private party, a franchise party, and he was the only person that was not a part of the Warriors organization invited, or not only invited, but that was at the party. He was the only player. So Giannis's name that was the start of things, and I just said, well, we'll let that go. We know him and Steph Curry are good friends. Now, just a couple days ago, he was seen at a Google event in San Francisco, hyping up the crowd. His name just continues to pop up everywhere. So yeah, I think the Warriors have been interested in him for a while now, but like I just don't know if he can. I'm not sure if he can get it done. I really am not sure if he can get it done. If the Warriors are going to get a Giannis Antetokounmpo, they're going to need to give up their future pretty much. And when I say that, I mean Jonathan Kuminga, who's already on the trade market, Brandon Podziemski, who's growing into a number 3 option for this Warriors team. I don't want to get rid of him, but I wouldn't want to get rid of him if I'm the Warriors. But if I want to make a big 3 in Golden State with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Giannis, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be too upset about it. But if I'm not sure what you do if you're the Warriors here. Do you want to roll with? It's so tough. It's just so tough. But do not be shocked if you see a trade with the Warriors in the offseason, because Giannis's name continues to be linked to the Warriors. I think if the Warriors got him, they would fill that need that they've had for years. What's the one thing that the Warriors have missed, even in the days when their dynasty started in 2015? They had Andrew Bogut, Zaza Pachulia, Kevon Looney. I literally can't remember a single other player, even though I know there's another one. I literally can't think of another player. That is how poor the big man group has been in Golden State. I literally can't think of another player. This is a Warriors team that's been desperate for a big man for a while. And they've gone after it a couple times. I think their name was linked to Clint Capella a couple years ago. LaMarcus Aldridge. I can't think of another one. But I know those 2 guys specifically were linked to Golden State for a while. But now they get an opportunity here. Bring in a generational talent in Giannis. It would be a similar standpoint to what the Lakers did. They had LeBron James. They brought in Luka Doncic, who's going to be the future of the team. So now let's LeBron James be like, okay, now I can just walk. I can go calmly away into the sunset and retire. The future of the team is here and set. They'll build around Luka in LA for sure. The Warriors have an opportunity to do the same thing. When Steph Curry's ready to walk, whether that's next year, whether that's 2 years from now, we haven't seen an exact standpoint from Steph Curry. We've just seen him bring it up a couple times. But if they can do this, Giannis comes in. He's the future of the Warriors. He's a generational talent. He is one of the best big men in basketball. He's one of the best power forwards ever. He's in the conversation with Tim Duncan, even though I wouldn't put him above Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is easily the best power forward that ever played the game of basketball. No one's ever coming close to, I think he's 4 or 5 championships, whatever it might be. I don't think anybody's ever getting close to what the Spurs did with Tim Duncan. But, yeah, Giannis, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler would be deadly. And I think they would easily be catapulted to the top 3 teams in the Western Conference if that trade actually happened. But is Giannis pushing that trade? He has mentioned that he wants to stay in the Eastern Conference. That's his preference. He's mentioned that he's not 100% sure if he's done with the Bucks, even though a lot of people are saying it would make sense if he left the Bucks, because obviously Damian Lillard is now hurt. They don't have a whole lot of future. They've given up a lot of picks. They just don't have a lot. They don't have a lot for Giannis to work with here. Not anymore. Not in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's in full reset mode pretty much. They have Giannis, and they're holding on for dear life on Giannis. And Giannis's loyalty is the biggest thing that they're leaning on to try and keep him there. But I just don't know. I don't know if it's enough. I'm not sure if it's enough. I know Giannis is great. I know Giannis is one of the top players in the league. In an NBA history, he will go down as one of the best players to ever play the game. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he can get it done in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's just not the place anymore. So whether he decides to go to Golden State, we've seen his name being linked to the Thunder. The Thunder obviously have a haul of first-round picks to offer for him. His name is linked to San Antonio to link up with Victor Wembanyama, which is a real possibility of that happening. We've seen the Boston Celtics name being thrown in the mix, but even though I don't know how much of that is true, how true that is, if the Celtics were even able to do that, Jaylen Brown would have to be in that deal, and I'm just not sure if the Celtics are ready to press that red button yet. That'd be a crazy button to press, and I think that'd probably change the standpoint of the league. Giannis and Jason Tatum on the same team. But it's a legit possibility. It's a real possibility. If it can actually happen. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see how this all shakes out. I think Giannis will make the best decision right now. Right now, he's still just trying to figure out what to do. There are names there are teams out there that would welcome his services. But it's up to him. This is Giannis we're talking about here. This is one of the best players in the league, one of the best players ever. A one-of-one talent, an international draw. A lot of people love him. I'm not sure. But his name is definitely being linked to the Warriors right now, and that's the biggest reason why I wanted to do this segment. Because his name this is probably going to be one of those segments that we'll tackle probably once a week at least from here on out, because I think the news is going to continue to spill out about Giannis, whether it's about the Warriors, whether it's about another team. It's just going to keep coming. I really think so. But yeah, I'm going to leave it on that note. We have the Eastern Conference Finals tipping off later tonight at 8 p.m. Pacers Knicks in New York, in what will be a phenomenal series. If you guys have some spare time and don't know what to watch, tune into that game, because it's going to be a phenomenal game. I really think so. But yeah, we'll be right back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow to talk more about that. Thank you guys for watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. You guys are big. You guys' perspective means a lot to us, so please remember to leave a positive review in the comments below. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon. Like I said, you guys are a big part of what we do here. So this is really interactive. Let us know what we're doing well. Let us know how we can continue to build content that you guys want to hear. And if you guys have any questions that you guys want me to address in the next show, leave it there and leave it in the comments below, and I'll be sure to tackle it in the show tomorrow morning. For more content and updates, be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast. This is your host, Mehrob Fatemi, signing off. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days, and happy basketball. The conference finals are here. They started last night in the West. Tonight we bring it back east. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your nights. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit.